draft, the Miami Heat select Bam Adebayo from the University of Kentucky.
Bam Adebayo, born 18th July 1997, is a player, well, as you can clearly see, for the Miami Heat. Drafted with the 13th pick in the 2017 draft, people didn't really know what to expect out of Bam, coming out of Kentucky. People thought he was drafted way too high, with a lot of mocks projecting him, as high as around the 20th pick. But now in his third season, Bam has truly proved all those doubters wrong, as people are now claiming he could be a potential all-star. And if you don't think he can be an all-star, well, this is the video that I'm going to convince you that, he could make a case for being an all-star. So, let's dive in. We'll talk about Mr. Adebayo. And, just before we actually do continue, if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to drop a like and a subscription. Help out the channel. I put a lot of work into these videos, so the least I can ask you to do in return is to help out the channel grow. We're about to hit 300 subs, so yeah, that'd be pretty hype. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. But yeah, nonetheless, let's continue the vid, talk about Bam, and yeah, let's get it, boys. So once Miami drafted Bam with the 14th pick in that 2017 draft, people didn't really know what to expect. Personally, myself was hoping Miami would draft Donovan Mitchell, but of course, the Denver Nuggets, who then traded him to Utah Jazz for Trey Lyles, of course, they took Donovan Mitchell. So we took Bam Adebayo. I'm thinking, I don't know too much about this guy. I saw he went to Kentucky, and I watched his highlights, and he threw a lot of oops and a lot of dunks. And obviously, he looked like my first impression. He looked very raw coming out of Kentucky. And he wasn't too bad his rookie season. He averaged 7 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, half a block in 20 minutes per game. He was being a backup to Hassan Whiteside, who just came off a killer season, averaged 17 points, 14 rebounds. So Bam doing his thing off the bench, that's fine. Then the second year we got a bit of a better taste of it. He averaged 9 points, 7 rebounds, 2 dimes, which is very nice. He averaged a block as well in 23 minutes. And he averaged 2 free throws attempts per game, all this while coming off the bench. But towards the end of the season, especially as the season went on, we saw Bam start to get that starting role for Hassan Whiteside. Because sure, Whiteside, he was putting up the better numbers, but Bam Adebayo, he's a team-winning player. And that's why Eric Spoelstra really started to put Bam Adebayo late-game situations, because he knew he couldn't trust Whiteside. Whiteside is not a winning player. That's why you see him put him up big stats in losses, and Bam will put up smaller stats in wins. He's a team-winning player. He plays for the team. He doesn't play for stats. So once Hassan Whiteside got traded to the Portland Trailblazers this season, we are really starting to see a superstar develop. And he's averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, 1.5 steals, 4.5 assists. Keep in mind, he's playing power forward at 6 free throw attempts per game. So you see Joel Embiid, he doesn't always shoot efficiently, but he always gets his points up in bunches because he's so elite at drawing fouls. And Bam is certainly doing that in bunches. He's drawing 6 free throws a game on average. He is shooting around 61% from free throw line, which is a bit of a shock because normally he's a pretty good free throw shooter. But nonetheless, he's averaging 32 minutes as well. So now you're probably thinking, how's that all-star number? 14 points, 10 rebounds, that's not all-star numbers. Anthony Davis went up 27, 11, and 4 blocks, or 3 blocks, whatever it is. And that's when you think, how's Draymond Green an all-star? Draymond Green and all those Warriors years when they had the dynasty, he was average, But if you really pay attention to how the games are played, you see he makes an impact. And then you look at players like Al Horford, you see how they make winning plays, they know intangibles. They always play for the team wins, and that's what Bam Adebayo is doing. He's really resembling Draymond Green for his playmaking ability, his amazing defense. At the moment, Bam Adebayo, if the season ended, Bam would be Defensive Player of the Year. And that is crazy saying. Al Horford, he always makes winning plays. You saw what Boston took Cavaliers to 7 games a few years ago. Him and Rozier were really helping him, but Al Horford, he was really the heart and soul of Celtics those few years. Was an all-star, of course. And yeah, Bam, he just resembles them. He always makes winning plays. And then you dive into his advanced stats. He's 7th in value over replacement player. And that's kind of a fancy way to describe win shares. So Bam is 7th in that. So once again, that speaks volumes of it, that he doesn't have to put up, necessarily monster stats to make an impact. But all the small little things, the deflections, the isolation defense, the granny covers on defense, all that stuff, the post defense, that all equivalates to one thing, and how he would go simulated 100 per possessions. So he's 7th in that. He's 8th in BPM, which is box plus minus. Once again, it's like box plus, plus minus, but it's box. And that's really another big stat. All these advanced analytics go a long way in helping your all-star case, which is why Draymond, Al Horford, remember Al Horford averaged like 12 points and 4 assists a few years ago? If you pay attention just to the box score, you think, that's not an all-star. But if you watch the game, you can see how they impact the game and make game-winning plays. That's why Whiteside wasn't an all-star. He's averaged 17 points, 14 rebounds a few years ago. He's not an all-star. The Heat were crap with him. But Bam, he's putting up monster stats. He's 2nd in defensive blocks, box plus minus. 2nd. That is absolutely huge. 1st is Noel, but Noel's not in all these other, high in all these other fields. So he's 2nd in that, already proven he's, a defensive player of the year candidate. He's 11th in win shares over 48 minutes. So, a win shares, but per 48, of course. And then in normal win shares, he's 10th. Keep in mind, he's playing 32 minutes. And he's 5th in defensive win shares. So he's really not just making a case for an all-star appearance, but also being a defensive player of the year. And you're thinking, who could you compare Bam to? Obviously, Al Horford and Draymond Green are great comparisons, but Joakim Noah and Bam, I really find big connections between them. If you remember, in the 2013-14 season, Joakim Noah, he was a top 3 MVP candidate. He averaged 12.5 points, 11 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 1.5 blocks. So once again, if you're just, looking at the box scores, you're thinking, hey, that's not enough. 12 points, 11 rebounds, that's not a whole lot. 5 assists, that's decent, but it doesn't equivalent to being an all-star. But you really dive down into the deep analytics of it. He was 5th in volume over replacement player, so 5th in VORP, 2nd in defensive box plus minus. He was 1st in defensive win shares. Number 1. You can't get any higher than that. 1st in defensive rating, and top that all off, he was defensive player of the year. So he was 3rd in MVP voting that year, I believe. 2nd one was LeBron James, and 1st was Kevin Durant, of course, who ended up winning. But Joakim Noah he was 3rd MVP, which sounds crazy nowadays because he's not doing much now. But back in the 2013-14 days, he was a top 3 player if you really watch basketball that year. So he only averaged 12.5 points, 11 rebounds. You look at Bam, he's averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. He's averaging 4.5 assists. So really, you could compare Bam to Joakim Noah just because they're a great playmaker for their size, of course, great rebounder, and they can score in bunches. And obviously, that defensive-minded play is where it really kicks in. So, Bam could be an all-star, which is absolutely insane saying that now, because that's a few years ago. In year 1, he was, he looked decent defensively. We saw a few segments where he was clamping up guards on the perimeter, but for the most part, he was just dunking lobs and setting big screens. But nowadays, he's drawing fouls. He is elite playmaker. I reckon he's the second best passing big man in the league, behind Nikola Jokic, of course, who averages like 7 dimes. But Bam, he's really proven his worth. Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley really trusted him. They didn't ship off Hassan Whiteside for nothing. They got rid of Hassan Whiteside, never ball movement. Miami are getting games getting over 30 assists for a team, and a large part of that has to do with Bam Adebayo and his developing plays. If Hassan Whiteside was still there, Miami would not be 9-3, and that's another thing. Bam might be an all-star because of that record. If you remember, Chicago Bulls back in 2013-14, they were still a pretty good team. And Miami, they might be a top 3 seed come All-Star break, and that's a great reason why Bam would be an All-Star, because if Bam is putting up these type of numbers and the team is winning, he has no choice but to be an All-Star, right? That's why Al Horford's been an All-Star the last few years. Draymond Green, of course, is an All-Star because the Warriors were a dynasty. But yeah, top it all off, those defensive stats are where it really kicks in. Anyway, so that's going to do it for me. If you did go enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like and a subscribe. I put a lot of work in these videos, like I said. I plan on pumping, these videos about once every 2 days. So it'd mean a lot if you helped out and subscribed. It really motivates me to keep making them. And yeah, if you have a request, please leave it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.